So last year for my top 10, at the end of it, I said that I would probably not be doing as dedicated an effort because I would probably be doing something more productive for the year of 2020. Yeah, that didn't happen. Long story short, I was huddled inside watching more TV than ever. First of all, before we begin, I want to reiterate that this is a personal list. This isn't like trying to calculate what was the best thing that came out this year. This is my personal list. And not only is it a personal list in terms of taste, but TV is huge now, and we don't I don't have Disney Plus. High School Musical, the series, the series, could very well be the best TV show of 2020. I wouldn't know. I don't have Disney Plus. If you do have a favorite show of 2020, please link it down in the comments. Jesus. Also, I do want to make this video as spoiler-free as possible. I do think all these shows are worth checking out. And even if there's a little spoil, it is not meant to ruin the experience of watching the show. I certainly don't think any of the points I mentioned are going to ruin the show if you decide to pick it up later. But without further ado, here is my top 10 list of best shows for the year of 2020. Also, I've called this a Hang 10 Top 10 because I have a whole water aesthetic on this channel. Number 10. Ah, my favorite moody German show came to a close. There are few shows out there that are as meticulously planned as Dark was, as its complicated intertwining plot closed its loops for the final season. When you're done watching the show, check out any of the family tree maps fans have made on Reddit. They are indecipherable, and I wouldn't want to write this show. I'd lose track after half an episode. The show as a whole exists on the long movie end of the TV show spectrum, but as it builds towards the finale, it goes from great to rewarding. The 3-episode stretch from light and shadow to the finale is incredibly satisfying after the whole 3-season journey the series has given you prior. I personally thought that it had some pacing issues with the early episodes, but I was super happy with the ending, and I felt all the central characters' journeys tied up very nicely. Martha, Jonas, Claudia, Noah, hell, even Hannah all felt like they had completely earned stories, even though I wish that there were maybe 2 more episodes? Yeah, 2 more episodes in this season. All in all, it's a time travel show, like so many that have come before it, and it is likely the best, most well thought out time travel show we will get for a while. I'm excited to see what the creators do next. Number 9. This one's inclusion might be a little divisive. I really enjoyed this one, and to me it was as Fargo-y and as Coen-y as previous seasons of Fargo, while pushing the boundaries of what the series is and often shaking up elements that you would consider a requirement for the show. Because this season is as American as apple pie. It's about being an immigrant in this country and fighting for your piece of the riches. It's about outlaws and cops and the righteousness and corruptness that comes with police. It's about a healthcare system that's trying to kill you. What could be more American? It is not perfect, and it is one of the first shows to evidently suffer because of the pandemic. Watching the final episode with all of its slow motion, minimal, soundless, apart from a soundtrack shots, it really seems like they wanted to shoot more and shoot more complicated stuff, and the limitations with shooting during a pandemic just made that more difficult. Still, the show's first 10 episodes had me captivated and on the edge of my seat. East West is one of my favorite hours of television this year. Chris Rock and Jason Schwartzman lead quite a dense cast, and I do feel that they could have let some characters take more of a backseat, and some characters kind of feel unnecessary, but when this show shined, it shone bright and beautiful. Number 8.
Wait, what is it?
Stand by for launch in 4, 3, 2, 1.
So it's pretty clear that Peacock didn't really think too highly of its flagship show. Honestly, it was pretty ballsy just to go straight in maybe with a high concept sci-fi instead of, playing it safe, was just having reruns of The Office or something like that. The series really worked for me. The series explores the concepts of the original dystopian novel series in a fresh, modern way that feels approachable to the point where you might actually think, what's so bad about this world? There are orgies every night and you take pills to make you happy. The Epsilons. Okay, fine, besides that. A society built on making sure we're all happy and distracted, everything is communal, everyone is stuck in their own caste, and no one is truly feeling or living. Bottom text. But yeah, the show's good, the cast is good, and for an adaptation on a very tricky novel from almost a century ago, it works. Number 7.
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful young girl who fell madly in love with a handsome prince. Unfortunately, the prince was already in love with someone else, who was herself in love with someone else, and they all lived unhappily ever after. That's it. In a nutshell, do you need more?
This, I would say, is the first season of The Crown that feels like a whole chapter of the royal family. Previous seasons have felt mostly like a collection of individual events within a certain decade of Queen Elizabeth's life, but this season finally brought in the story that fans had been waiting patiently for. I mean, do I have to say it? The show still focuses on individual events like Michael Fagan breaking into the royal palace twice and Thatcher's cold stance on apartheid in South Africa, but largely this season focuses on the completely normal relationship between Prince Charles and Princess Diana and the absolute ball they had. You gotta really put your hands up for Josh O'Connor and Emma Corrin for their portrayals of the Prince and Princess of Wales, especially newcomer Corrin. Honestly, you could have had an entire episode that was just Emma skating around Buckingham Palace and it would have not changed the place on this list. The rest of the cast is brilliant, the writing is as solid as it's always been, and is one of the most consistently excellent shows Netflix has to offer. Number 6.
Where are we? What the hell is going on?
The show would not be as effective if it weren't for Daisy Edgar-Jones and Paul Mescal and how they embody these characters so effectively. They have so much chemistry that Phoebe Bridges decided she wanted some Mescal for herself and made a music video with the damn dude. But Marianne and Connell have an inseparable relationship, not just romantically as they are at the beginning of the show, but later when they are close friends and at times distant friends at most. They are supportive of helping each other grow even in situations when they are dating other people, whether it be emotionally, academically, or with each other's families. Coming of age relationship dramas, especially for TV, can feel like a slog because of the whole will they, won't they tug, and while it is present in the show, it is not an issue. Because while it is about Marianne and Connell's journey towards each other, it is also about their individual journeys that they feel they have to battle alone. That they don't have to battle alone because of what they have given to each other. Number 5. There are some incredibly difficult topics to stomach with this show, such as loss, the grieving process in general, dementia of a family member, divorce, nice divorces, nasty divorces. And despite all these topics that the show covers wonderfully, the show never feels difficult to watch. It continues using Fred Rogers-esque puppets to great effect in a way that you don't really see anywhere else on TV. Episode 3101 and Up, Down, and everything in between, I have to shout out specifically for the way they use the puppet worlds to reflect on the harsh reality underneath. It's just excellent storytelling throughout the whole show, of course, but especially these 2 episodes. The show was unfortunately canceled, but the way the series ended, especially the last 2 minutes, feel so incredibly earned, and I'm glad the show was able to communicate and speak to me the way that it did. Number 4. I think an overarching theme for most of the TV shows on this list is outsiders trying to find their place, and there may be no clearer example of this theme than Scott Frank's miniseries about chess, of all things, was pretty riveting. In this show, Beth Harmon is an orphan who grows into a chess prodigy, and like a chess game, there are 2 sides of Beth fighting it out within her. One side that wants her to succeed in her chess career and thrive despite her troubling childhood, and another side that wants to drag her deeper into her vices and addictions. These 2 sides play inside Beth as she grows up, gains and loses relationships and chess tournaments, fighting constantly to grow out of that scared, lonely girl who has nothing to rely on, and it culminates with an incredibly satisfying ending. There's a series of moments in the 6th and 7th episodes between Borgov and Harmon during their chess game, and you don't have to know what moves are made. The camera might not even be on them. It's on their faces. Barely any lines are said. You know what happens. The show is more rewarding for it, not bogging you down with any theory or strategy. Not that the show doesn't showcase this, but it's not the center of the show. I lost the point, but I lost a script and I got in my own head, but it's good. Number 3. We talked about Fargo, right? Let me check. Yeah, you know, rival gangs, corrupt police, the whole immigrants fighting for a piece of the American pie. No other show like that this year. No siree. Oh my, this show is such a good goddamn time. The show is set during the Tong Wars in 1870s San Francisco, as racial tensions between the Irish and Chinese immigrants are ramping up. First of all the fight scenes, the best martial arts you will see anywhere on television. The 9th episode, Enter the Dragon, which premiered on Bruce Lee's 80th birthday, has some of the most bombastic fight scenes I've seen in a television show ever. Second of all the factions. You have these two main games, the Hop Way, the Long Z, fighting over territory. You have the Irish labor workers. You have police who treat Chinatown like a liability and an infestation. And you have these government positions who are trying to pass anti-Chinese laws, but also still benefit from cheap Chinese labor. And then you have all these randos who have their own mysterious agenda. And even with all these rich, flushed out characters, it feels balanced. Not just giving all these characters their due, but immersing all of them in this world, and then just for kicks, maybe throwing them into a badass fight for fun. Is it a little campy? Yeah. But if it means you can like decapitate racists, I'm all for it, y'all. Number 2. So if there is any evidence that this is my list and not anyone else's list, this entry's your answer. I mean, does anyone else think this show is excellent? I feel like the show's like a little secret and I'm just yelling for people to watch it because it's so good. Lenu and Leela, two childhood friends whose lives diverged in the previous season, and we see those two lives diverge even further. Despite it all, they remain close and important to each other. Through Lenu's perspective, we see how these two women grow as they leave their teenage years and grow into adults. We see Leela's rage at the men in her life grow as she's constantly tampered down and made subservient, and we see Lenu making decisions with the men in her life, finding power and making her own future as her story moves to Pisa, only to still find herself changed and challenged by her friendship with Leela. This story is a lucid journey of Italy back in time. Every moment is wonderfully told, from the cinematography to the music to the performance of the two young actresses. I really want to gush about specifics on this show, but I gotta restrain myself because of the whole spoiler thing. The show lives in these tiny details and the little lives all these characters live that make this world real, harsh, and beautiful. Okay, so now we're just going to do some quick runner-ups, just a little ditty on a couple shows that I wanted. Some of them I really wanted to be on this list, but unfortunately didn't make the cut. Oh, this one I really wanted to make the top 10. Refreshingly original science fiction of biblical proportion, and based off of how it ends at the end of season 1, it could literally go anywhere. Also wanted this one to be on my top 10. Ethan Hawke and Joshua Caleb Johnson lead this riveting story about the abolitionist, John Brown, and how his actions and words led to the Civil War. Also, favorite title sequence this year. I liked this, I really did, but it was a lot given like everything else that happened this year. One of the best zombie series, one of the best foreign dramas on Netflix. I really liked how stylish this show was, and it was a satisfying thriller and an exploration of alcoholism. The 5 episodes that aired in 2020 made it worth it. What a satisfying ending. This show was wild and surreal and pushed the boundaries of what a show could be. Maybe not in the best ways, but it did it. Another show that pushed it was like this one. This show was scattered as hell, but when it worked, it really worked. I know this show's good, I just wish I liked it more. It had its moments though. This show got pretty repetitive after a while, but the last stretch of episodes showed it could be more. I'm excited for season 2 on this one. Number 1. And now, my favorite show of 2020. I did not expect my favorite show this year to be a comedy. I did not expect it to be about sports, and I did not expect it to be on Apple TV. That's right, my favorite show of 2020 is... Holy shoot, this one was a sneaker. And it's just so excellent at what it needs to be. The story is engaging, and even if you know nothing about football, that's fine, because Ted also knows nothing about football. At least what the Brits call football. The way this series handles conflict resolution and team building is mature and adult while just constantly being playful. Ted's entire position is that he's there to make the team better by making the members of that team better. It's goddamn disgusting. Everything about this show is rooted in being better than you were the day prior. Ted's infectious but not overbearing optimism gets to every character, even the ones with rough edges. And by the end of the season, you're dying for a little bit of Lasso in your life. I've rewatched every show on this list, but this show is the one I've rewatched multiple times. I can't get enough of it. I find something new to love in every viewing. The show was the perfect comfort viewing for 2020 without sacrificing quality, and I eagerly await to see what comes for seasons 2 and 3. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it has encouraged you to check out some of these shows I listed. If you have any shows you would like to recommend to me, leave them in the comments below, and if they're all going to be The Mandalorian, I know, okay, I will get Disney Plus someday. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.